Acción, tu revista mensual de cine y series, con los mejores estrenos de cine, fichas y reportajes coleccionables, series de televisión y 4 pósters todos los meses. Búscala en tu kiosco.
Start here in Sitges to be a jury on the festival and also get an award. So, how's been that experience for you these few days here?
You know, it's pretty intense because we have to watch a lot of films actually, much more than in any other festival I have been juror or president of the jury. You know, here you have to watch 33 films in 1 week, which is pretty intense. You know, basically I have nothing else. I can do anything else. You know, it's just watch movie. You know, so it recalled me when I was going to film festival market like Milano or Los Angeles, and we were watching 5-6 films per day. You know, and we were running from one room to another. You know, to watch all these films. So it's pretty intense. I like the atmosphere here. You know, I went to Sitges when I was journalist, but then I came back to Sitges when El Pacto de los Lobos was show here. You know, and I was with my good friend Brian Usna, you know, who produced my 2 first films, and it was great. It was actually very, very cool, and I like the city, and you know, I like the fact that it recalls me a lot the French Riviera, because I'm born in Antibes, you know, between Cannes and Nice, so it's more or less the same atmosphere, the same smell of the sea, you know, and so I feel very well here.
But also, we haven't had a Christophe Gans film since 2014.
Yes.
Why did we have
Simply
to wait
because
so much?
What happened is I explained this yesterday. First, you know, I worked on the adaptation of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It was a Chinese-French co-production. The problem is that in the time China closed on itself because of the new politics of Xi Jinping, and so after 3 years to work on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, you know, it was no more possible to finance the film without our partner in China. So we decided to close the film. Then I went to prep Corto Maltese, you know, and I was back with my good old friend, the producer Samuel Adida, to do that. Samuel Adida has produced Crying Freeman and Pacto de los Lobos, but also Silent Hill. And so I went back with him to start the pre-production of Corto Maltese. And we work a lot, you know, and we did all the storyboard, all the artwork, we did all the casting, and we start to build the sets, you know, and Samuel died. He died in a very unexpected way, you know, and I remember very well, you know, we were in Los Angeles to finish the financing of the film, and I had to go back to France. I say him bye-bye on the parking lot, you know, in Santa Monica, and he was, you know, he had a pain at the back of his spine, and 2 days after he fell into the coma. He has made an infection, and because he was not very healthy, he didn't survive, and it was a big loss. You know, I can tell you that we were ready to do Corto Maltese, but Corto Maltese just disappeared from my mind because that was my old friend who was disappearing, you know, and suddenly like that, and it was a shock. It was a shock, and then we enter into the COVID lockout, you know, and the world fell apart, you know. And during the COVID, I work on 2 projects: Silent Hill, adapted from Silent Hill 2, my favorite game of the franchise, and I work also on another survival horror named Fatal Frame, you know, Project Zero. And Fatal Frame, you know, is another game that I want to adapt. So I spend my time during the lockdown to work on that.
But between Silent Hill and Beauty and the Beast, there was a lot of time also. It seems like you take a lot of time to find the right project, right?
No, not necessarily. But sometimes the project that I want to do, I work. As I was saying yesterday, I never had one day of unemployment. I always work all my life, writing script, prepping the film, doing the storyboard, doing the artwork with my crew. We constantly work, but sometimes the films are not made to be made. I mean, it's like a cosmic alignment, with the planets. At one moment, everybody must be agreed that that's the film that you have to do. For example, when I did El Pacto de los Lobos, which is a very, very special and unique film, everything was there. I mean, during all the process of making El Pacto de los Lobos, I was surprised. Every day I was saying, how is it possible that people let me do that film? That simply everybody wanted this film. I don't know why, but the producer, the financial people, everybody wanted this film. Why? Still today I had no explanation. Simply the planets were aligned. It was a cosmic thing. So sometimes, for example, I work on big adaptation of very famous French IP like Fantomas, Raon, which is a prehistoric adventure. I work on The Adventurer, which is also a big thing in France, Bob Moran. That never happened. And still, you have millions of fans in France, but simply this film were not able to be achieved. Why? I don't know. Something at one moment miss, and so I saw this film, but I'm the only one because I saw them. I designed each frame. Everything is prepped. But simply this movie never happened for reasons sometimes that I can't explain.
You just mentioned Return to Silent Hill. You're coming back to this beloved franchise. An adaptation of the second film that has been the remake of the second game. The remake of the second game has just been released this week in Spain. So how is it coming back to this universe?
It's what happened is that we were supposed to do first Fatal Frame. That was the idea. First, we wanted to do Fatal Frame, and then do Silent Hill, Return to Silent Hill. And what happened is that for the producer, who's actually the brother of Samuel Adida, Victor Adida, maybe it was more easy to go back to the franchise of Silent Hill than start a new franchise, Fatal Frame. So finally we decided to do Silent Hill. We called Konami and we told them, okay, we are going to do a new Silent Hill and Christophe is doing it again. And we say, oh, great, which one are you adapting? And we say, the second one. And Konami answer, I remember that, oh, that's interesting because we want to do a reboot of one of the first Silent Hill. Let's do a reboot of the second one. Because they were very impressed by the number of the reboot of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 3. They were very impressed by that, and they start to think that maybe it was time to come with a reboot on PS5, high definition reboot of the classic game. So we came and we give them the impulse, and so the film and the game start to be built in parallel, but actually I never see anything from the game that they were rebooting, and they never saw, and the people who were doing the reboot never saw anything from the film. We were just hearing rumors or information that it's interesting because it's two separate creative hearts adapting the same original source. I think it's brand new.
The game has been a huge success, at least here in Spain, and they are loving it. But what can we expect from the film? What is going to be? Because of course it has to have something different from the game, but also the same spirit, the same core soul.
Have you seen the little teaser which has been released?
Yes, but it leaves me wanting more, of course.
Because of course it was 1 minute, but you can see some frame which are exactly the adaptation of the classic moment of the game. So what can I say? It's adapting very precisely the story of the game. It will be in the same sets than the game, same location. I mean, the parking, for example, of the opening has been reconstituted in Bosnia perfectly. I can tell you perfectly. We build it for real. I mean, it's not a CG image. It's there, and. It's and at the same time, exactly like I did for the first film, I had to retold some element simply because I'm doing a film. I can have the same immersive quality than a game, of course. So there is a narrative which is quite quick. The film is shorter than the first one. It's 100 minutes. So it's shorter, but I think that I kept all the idea, and also it's interesting because when you go on the web, you can see tons of people talking about the meaning of each scene. So that's very interesting because at one moment I had to be a judge of that. I had to say, okay, I'm agree with that interpretation of the game and not this one. So I had to be like King Solomon, say, okay, I'm agreeing with that, James Sunderland at that moment experienced something which is coming from inside him, so it's interesting. Of course, the fact that the first film is very well considered by the fan puts on me a certain pressure, because I hope that this one will be also well considered, But what the fans know, even if they don't like the next one, is that I'm a big fan of Silent Hill. I'm a huge fan, and what I tried to achieve, I did it with respect, a lot of respect,
I was going to ask you about that. Just last question. There are nowadays thousands of game adaptations. Usually fans hate them, but that's not the case with Silent Hill. It's only loved by the fans, that it's also considered one of the greatest game adaptations to film. So how did you manage to get it when so many people, so talented people have tried and failed? You managed to did an amazing job that people still love this day.
I will make a difference between the people who go to see a movie just to have a good fun moment and fan. Fans are going to see film with a very precise idea in their mind, and of course they are very vocal. So if you miss them, it's a problem, But I know that, for example, the fans of Uncharted were disappointed by the film, but the film enjoyed a big success. So it's. I would say that the producer always wants the big audience. Me, as a director, I want the fan. My energy is completely focused on the fan. and because I'm a fan myself. The first guy who saw my new film is Akira Yamaoka. That's the first guy I showed the film. I wanted to know his feeling because he's a creator of that, you know. He produced it, he did the wonderful music and the sound design, and he was a part of the silent team, you know, the original bunch of people who create Silent Hill. So for me it was important that he be the number one to see the film, and he was touched by the film. So for me it's a good sign. He was deeply touched. He told me that he cried when he saw it, because it was like, oh my God, you know, somebody come after all these years and he is doing the story of James Sunderland, you know, and he was touched. But now how the fan will feel about the film, I don't know. I mean, I show the film to some friend of mine who are big gamers, and they say the film has the DNA of the game. That's what they told me. It has the right DNA. You have that melancholical, morbid feeling, you know. It's actually a very intimate movie, much more intimate than the first film. You know, the first film is an experience into horror. You know, it's an horror epic. The second one is much more an intimate movie about a guy who starts to lose his perception because he's so much in love and so much eager to find back his wife that he starts to see the world in a very strange way. It's a very different movie from the first one.
Well, really eager to watch it, sir. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Acción, tu revista mensual de cine y series, con los mejores estrenos de cine, fichas y reportajes coleccionables, series de televisión y 4 pósters todos los meses. Búscala en tu kiosco.